So you were hired to Apple 2001, early 2001, ahead of the launch of the first iPod. Looking back, what are the moments that stand out?
Revisionist history is very easy to look at and say, oh, wait a second, Apple. It's such a world-class company. Of course they would have done the iPod, but if you look back in 2001, Apple had $150 million in the bank and $500 million in debt, and it was struggling consumer PC manufacturer, and Steve really turned it around and made it the world-class company it is today after a decade. But it was very different those times, and to be able to create something like the iPod back then, when there's very little revenue and money to go around, was a very bold move. And obviously I joined because of that bold move.
I know there were problems with the batteries. Were there other issues that nearly scuppered the project?
One, you'd say maybe it's the battery, maybe it was the connectivity, maybe it was the interface. But really the one that sticks out for me the most was taking a hard drive that's very delicate, and putting it in your pocket. And, you'd be amazed at how much, stress something in your pocket is put on when you're sitting on it every day, throwing it around in your bag. And to have a delicate device like a hard drive being tossed about all day long and making it work over a series of years is a very, very difficult challenge. And luckily we pulled it off. It was one of those white-knuckle times when I wasn't quite sure what was going to happen until it really got out into the real world and tried. And we made a big bet, and that paid off.
Now, there was an article about a year ago that reported about clashes that you had with Scott Forstall at Apple when he was heading up the iPhone software unit, and it talked about clashes and tension and him raiding your team and problems. I just wonder if you can tell me what really happened there.
Well, I think we know what really happened. So Scott got what he deserved, and we move on.
But can you just tell, there's a lot of interest in what the relationship was, because we haven't heard any kind of details from Apple itself. Were there really personality problems, or was it deeper than that?
I think what happened just a few weeks back was deserved and justified, and it happened.
And were there personal problems, I'm sorry to push you on this, but were there personal problems that you had with him? How difficult was it working with him?
Again, I think what he deserved, he got.
Where do you think that leaves Apple without him?
I think Apple's in a great place. Actually, if you read some of the reports, people were cheering in Cupertino when that event happened. And so I think Apple's in a great space. It has great products, and there are other amazing people at the company, and I think those people actually have a chance to have a firm footing now and continue the legacy that Steve left.
When you stepped down from being a special advisor to Steve Jobs, you set up Nest, which makes thermostats. Why go into that kind of product instead of the kind of gadget that people might want to take out on the street with them?
Talk to me about 5 years ago, yeah, it would have been very difficult. Why? Because they wanted their first iPhone, or they wanted their second iPod, or their first iPad. But today, people have those things. A lot of people have those things. And so they're trying to think about how their world changes around them when they have those devices. They want more convenience. They want a better user experience. They want something that just works. And so when they go to something like a thermostat on their wall and they can't program it to save an energy, and they know it's costing them as much as their cell phone bill or more than their cell phone every year to use that energy, they're like, there's something wrong here.
Is this going to be the next wave of consumer technologies that we're going to expect, that it's not just about the thermostat, but everything in the home is going to end up connected, whether it's your kettle, your fridge, or everything else? How much of our stuff do we really need to be connected?
Well, it's a very good question, and people were like, "Oh, you're doing a home automation company," or I don't believe in that stuff. I don't believe that your kettle should be connected, or possibly that your toaster should be connected, or something like that. You have to have a real reason for connection. Because with connection, yes, comes convenience, but there's also another set of inconveniences that come with it. So you have to look at each product very, very carefully and understand, why is it better if it's connected? Why is it truly better? And in the case of the thermostat, it is truly better because it is connected.